Hello, Sanbanani Dumilang, and welcome to your #1 youth show, E-Expressions. Well, according to the SABC statistics, youth gang violence is on the rise in South Africa, and this situation has led to increased fears about safety and security in and around schools. The increasing number of school learners getting involved in gang activities raises a major concern regarding the impact of their involvement on their educational attainment and lives in general. Well, violence affects youth and adults differently. If children and youth are exposed to or become victims of violence, there is a high risk that they will show a violent behavior themselves at a later stage. Well, a study by the Center for Justice and Crime Prevention showed that young people who have been victims of violence were 6 times more likely to commit a crime than those who have not been victimized. Liema, it seems to be the order of the day in Youth and Gangsterism.
And it's still prevalent in our society, which begs the question, what are we doing to try and curb it? Well, Nacho Mzansi African, of course, I am your host, Liema Vumisa. Great to have you this right here on Expressions. And our Expressions wants to shine a light on some of the reasons, really, for a rise of youth involvement in such activities, and actually what we can do in our communities to combat it and keep our children safe. Now, by addressing the root causes of youth violence and strengthening young people's resilience to risk factors, we can really reduce youth's susceptibility to violence and also crime. Namhlanje ke enkqubeni, we have amazing guests on the show this evening. We'll be talking to a former gang member who has now tended to be a community leader, and also we have a youth activist, and finally the founder of a child-focused discipline camp. But first, let's really have a look at what young people around Campus Square up in Mzansi Africa, particularly in Joburg, Auckland Park, what they had to say about the topic.
I think it happens because of either unemployment, so they don't have jobs, hence they want something to occupy their spare time. Also, a lot of access to hip-hop, so some of these artists, they're always rapping about using drugs, partying, alcohol, and also their music video promotes that, hence it kind of looks cool to them, trendy and all.
People just get into it because it's what they see, it's what's around them, and for most people, getting into gangsterism is the easier path for them.
If you are not seen as men enough, then you will do those things of gangsterism, being involved in smoking, drinking alcohol, so that you can just express that manhood of yours.
The youngsters should think more about themselves and look after themselves, not go for drugs and things like that.
This thing of a household only having one breadwinner, that leads to literally the teenagers deciding, no, let's pull our weight in the household and let's go hustle.
We have a lot of needs as young people, so sometimes we tend to find things that we think will give us quick cash.
Just like us, you're in school and all of your friends have iPhones and other things, so you feel like you're getting you're being left out.
Maybe with the environment so you saw that as a good thing or as a thing of so you end up doing the same thing, not knowing where you're going in the wrong path.
Well, that is the actual conversation that we're having namhlanje ohlelweni ikakhulukazi masikhuluma ngendaba yokuthi gang-related violence. There you heard it from yourself. Abantu abatsha, they were really speaking about this issue being a prevalent issue in our societies. And so to help me unpack us a little bit further, we have the honor and pleasure of being joined by Welcome Witbooi, who is a former gangster and a community leader right now. And also joining us is Wanne Andrews. He is the spokesperson for DA Youth in Johannesburg. Gentlemen, welcome to the show. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
I think, Wanne, let me start with you. Do you think it's a prevalent issue, gang violence in South Africa?
I think for the most part, yes. Firstly, good afternoon, and good afternoon to the viewers at large. So, gangsterism in South Africa has been a renowned thing throughout the years, especially in impoverished communities with lack of service delivery issues, and communities that face a lot of marginalization. So for them, ultimately, they move towards the alternative of gangsterism and trying to find a sense of belonging, if I can say that for the most part.
I think let's ask Welcome that particular question on that point. Was it a sort of sense of belonging for you because you wanted to join violence because of you didn't have a sense of belonging?
No, I think for me it was one of those specific reasons of wanting to belong, wanting to be heard, wanting to belong somewhere. I think some of the viewers or people in the community have mentioned it is also that thing of not having a place to go to as young people. You know, there are no resources available to engage young people on saying stay away from trouble. But one of the other main reasons that is also perpetuated the rise in gangs is also fatherless households where there's no father. Especially, yeah, I mean, specifically in my case, my father wasn't there, and the gangs became my saving grace.
But do you take ownership of and responsibility of the fact that that was not really a good idea that you should have embarked on?
No, definitely joining a gang has never been a good idea. I think being part of a gang, obviously in the beginning, you always see the good things about it. You think that it's the fast cars, the fast money, the fast popularity. But in actual fact, in hindsight, the after effects, the disadvantages of gang violence, it can lead to gang violence, can lead to death, it can lead to prison.
A whole lot
so
of
I think it's just in a culmination of situations, and that's why we always say to young people, instead of joining the gangs, rather do positive things, join positive groups, become part of something positive instead of something that will change your life forever.
All right. Perhaps let's talk about advocacy now. Where does the DA youth factor into this particular conversation? What sort of right measures does the DA stand for in terms of issues of gangsterism?
I think for me, for the most part, I'll outline it as simple. So firstly, we are all for the notion of allowing government to take priority and allowing government to take full responsibility ultimately for this issue at hand. Why? He said it earlier, he alluded to the fact that there is no sense of, what's the word that I'm looking for? There's no sense of commitment from young people that they can fully divert and submerge their time into. Hence, they would rather find themselves doing, anything and everything else. So it's the plight of the DA youth and the DA in retrospect to hold government accountable, to find sustainable and effective solutions, to allow communities to be empowered, to allow for these things that allow for young people to find themselves in spaces that don't matter. So yeah.
Without actually sounding a bit too political about the case, because I just wanted to make it about a society problem without involving politics into it. So let's pass on that. Now, to you, Welcome, what pushed you to join gangsterism?
For me, as I said, I mean, I come from a Model C school. I was at Spesbona High School. I was a straight A student, and growing up in Vala Park, which is a colored community, and being made fun of and being ridiculed and being, joked around. I think that the concept of being bullied kind of like pushed me, where I felt like I'm not seen by my peers. They don't respect me. They used to call me mommy's boy because I used to wear a blazer. And I had all of these stukas that I got at school, head boy, prefect, and all of those things. And within my community, those things weren't seen as achievements. They were seen as the way in which the white man was puppeteering the colored for just doing what they wanted him to do and not really being a man. So, and the concept that they say that black people go to the bush to become men, white people go to the army to become men, and coloreds go to prison to become men. So it was that type of situation of saying that I needed to follow suit. And being bullied and being, pressed into that corner of saying, what are you going to do when something happens? And how are you going to man up? And therefore, these gangsters, I looked up to them, particularly so because they used to stand at street corners and people looked at them and people feared them. People also respected them. I mean, I was well dressed, and yet no girl wanted to look at me. But yet they looked at these bad boys. They spoke a broken language, and yet they were revered by the community. So for me, I felt like, having this good boy mentality wasn't working. Clearly it wasn't, because it was working for them, and therefore, for me, I resorted to become a gangster.
All right, we have to take a quick commercial break, but I do want us when we come back so that you can also expand on perhaps the flip now, the change, what made you change, but we shall tackle that a little bit later on. Well, there you have it, Mbugelo Expressions talking about gang violence and gangsterism, particularly amongst us as Abantu Abasha. But for now, let's quickly go to an ad break. Stay with us.
If you want ways and solutions, I think wouldn't it be better to actually go to the people that actually are gangsters and ask them, looking back, what would you have said to yourself? And looking back, had you found a good Samaritan and was like, how can I help you? How would you have preferred that I help you?
I think for youths who maybe didn't pass their matric or they're unemployed, give them short learning programs just to occupy their time. And then in terms of drug abuse, just let them know the consequences of using drugs and why they shouldn't use them.
Job creation should be #1 priority for the country as a whole, not just for those underdeveloped communities.
The government should step in more and do some more for the youth. Yes.
I don't feel like government can do anything. So as a community, maybe programs, something like that, trying to keep them off the street, or try to keep them busy as much as possible, try to give them something they could make a living out of.
Self-discipline is the way to go, you know. If I can tell myself that, you know what, there's no easy way out for everything. I have to start somewhere. I have to do something to, you know, build my name, build my place in this world and work hard, maybe. Because sometimes it's the mindset that needs to be fixed, and you can only fix it from within yourself. That, okay, the only way to have my place in this world, have what I want, is to work hard.
Right, those are some of the voices coming from young people on the streets. You are still watching your #1 youth show, Expressions. And of course, Mbugeli, we are talking about the rise of young people being involved in gangsterism. The question we are asking viewers at home, Kukuba, what can we do to stop the increase of young people being involved in gang-related activities? Well, speaking on that, in studio, I'm joined by Prince Motlou from Rising Stars Generational Discipline Camp, who is here to give us an insight into their programs and if they can, what is it that they are doing to make sure that they combat some of these challenges? Prince, welcome to the show. How are you doing?
I'm doing well, and you, Prince?
I'm great.
Amazing.
I mean, gangsterism is like the new pandemic. I was even shocked to find out that a young girl, as 8 years, they are lured into this practice. And you're probably wondering, what is it? Where are we missing it? I mean, even Welcome on the Table was sharing on how this is popularized. It seemed it's something that is cool. Yes. Where are we missing it? What seems to be the root cause?
See, what I'd like to advise you on is that, see, when you find boys with guns or girls with babies, all these things are not the problems. This gangsterism you're talking about, the smoking of dagga, smoking of habli, the killing of each other, bullying and all that, these ones are not the problem. These are symptoms that something else is wrong. Looking at the parenting department, see, a parent would take a child, a parent will send a child to street and go play. You understand? And then the kid will play with whatever that you're not gonna like as a parent. You understand? So as kids growing up, they need somebody to look up to. Fatherness. Or if you can check, 99.9% of the gangster boys and girls, or the boys and girls in jails, whatever, these guys, they lack a fatherness. They lack fatherness because of the absence of fatherness. They don't have somebody to look up to. Somebody that can, when I'm talking about a father, I'm not talking about somebody who pays maintenance or somebody who is just there in the house, no. But somebody who is there in physical, somebody who is there emotional, somebody that can teach the child the ways of God, teach the child the ways of life. You know, you want a child to say like, I was taught by my father this. My father told me how to do this. My father told me not to start smoking. My father told me that alcohol is bad for me. You
So
understand?
the issue of fatherlessness, meaning that we are charity begins at home. So
Yes.
the big question is, what values are being instilled ebantwaneni from ekhaya? And speaking of that, as much as this is really sad, I believe that you are the light at the end of the tunnel. I mean, you have programs in place and collaboration efforts to try and curb this pandemic. Can you just give us an insight on the programs that you have?
So I'm going to mention 2 words: discipline camp. See, discipline camp, it's a future of how we can make this right. You understand? The discipline camp, the program is designed to change the mindset of young people, because we need to work with their mind. Their mind is the one that is the positive mental attitude. That's what we're waking up on. We're putting them in a life experience, like reality experience, from waking up early in the morning, go to the woods, and build fire from the ground. You understand? And then you cook your own breakfast. You understand? So we're teaching them how to be responsible. But then also we teach them to be leaders. To be lions. If I enter into my camp and I do this, you know what they'll say? They'll be like, we're like a lion, like a lion. They're watching now, like a lion, you understand? They become lions, they gain confidence, you understand? Because that's what we teach them. Working with the mind, they must know that they are God's children. You understand? I'll be like, who are you? I'll be like, I'm a God's child.
And I'm a lion.
I'm a lion.
I love that mindset.
You
It proves that, your own mind is your own prisoner.
Yes.
Thank you so much for joining us. We wish you all the best with the work that you do. And we really wish that the government, ingakwazi into yobana ingenelele, because, we really need to put an end to this. Thank you so much for joining us.
You are so welcome. I also wish that the government can be supporting us in these programs.
Right, Tim Bugeli, you are still watching Expressions. You can make sure that you are part of this discussion by sharing your views on our social media pages. Our handles are Facebook, Sikona Go Expressions, Twitter, Sikona Expressions_10. Let's take a quick break. Do not move a muscle. You are watching Expressions.
Welcome terug. You're still watching Expressions right here on SABC Wanne. Thanks very much for staying with us as we continue to have this conversation about gangsterism, particularly amongst Abantu Abasha. And of course, Wanne and also Welcome are still joining me. Now, Welcome, just as we near the wrap of this particular conversation, let's talk about that flip. Let's talk about that change. What made you want to stop being a gangster and now a reformed person?
I think, being a gang leader, having to watch over your shoulders every single minute of the day is not the way that you want to live your life. Particularly in the sense that I thought to myself, if I were to be a father one day, what kind of father am I going to be, especially to a girl child? I want my daughter to be proud of me. I want my sons to be proud of me. I don't want them to be fearful of me. So I think for me it was that flip of saying that I want people to love me for all the right reasons and not fear me. And that is, for me, the most important thing. That is why I do the work that I do with young people, to constantly remind them that they need to step into a position where they can choose role models that are actually there to help them, guide them, and grow them. And that is why we do the work that we do within our foundation as well. Hence, that flip was important. And I feel what I can say to many people out there is that I need parents to be more present instead of just available.
Yes.
Because parents are sometimes available, but they're not present. And parents need to know what their kids are doing, where their kids are, who their kids' friends are. And that is how we are able to change the things that are happening, because it takes a village to raise a child. And if I had a village that could raise me, I would not have done the things that I've done in the past. And that is, for me, the most important thing is, like, as I said, from Bright Spark Foundation, is that kids need role models that will show them the way.
The way, absolutely. Wanne is an activist, a person that was a gangster or a gang leader. Are they redeemable according to your perspective?
Yes, in all ways, forms and shapes. I personally think that before you're anything else, you are a human being. So we forget that in society, we are first human being. We take away the fact that we are human. And the humanity part of us, we have feelings, we have emotions, we have psyche, evaluation crises that we go through internally. And so I think that for the most part, we're all about rewriting the script, rewriting the narrative. And it's all up to the person himself to rewrite the script, rewrite the narrative of who they are and who they want to be out.
Absolutely. Welcome. You mentioned something off air when we're having a conversation, and you touched on, because I asked you a question, that aren't you now looking behind your back every now and again? Since you're a reformed person now, you stop being a gang leader and all of that. And then you mentioned something profound. You said that, yes, the tattoos will be there, they will know you, but it takes a personal decision as a person of an authority, like how you said it, to be able to now rectify those mistakes. But however, I do wonder, are there any repercussions of you having taken that decision that you still live with today?
Yeah, no, definitely there will be those feelings of what you've done in the past. I mean, I'm not excusing my actions, and neither am I justifying it. But what I am saying is that, as my colleague next to me said, is that we are human, and we can return to that state, hence the importance of forgiveness. But it's not just about forgiveness, it's also about taking responsibility and accountability for our actions. So the work that I do is not just seen as changing young people, but it's also stepping into that position of saying to myself that because I've been there, I've done that, I now do not want young people to follow in those directions, because there is an option for them to make better decisions in their lives. And I'm an example of that. 11 years out of prison, I'm an example of that.
Living testimony of that. Well, thank you very much, Mr. Welcome, for joining us, and also to you, Wanne, and all the very best with your individual careers going forward. Well, there you have it, Mbugilwe Expressions. That was Wanne, and also Welcome joining us namhlanje on the show, really to talk about gangsterism and gang violence amongst young people. Nanokuthi mhlambe inemqoko kumele siyenze ikakhulukazi njengabantu bala eNingizimu Afrika. But really an intriguing conversation, Kolo.
Indeed, and I mean, we are grateful as Expressions to amplify the voices of young people. And in Ngacho Gwembugeli, whatever choice that you make, also think about the consequences. The world is a jungle. It's either you evaporate or you roar like a lion. Yes. Kona Gwembugela sikshi weda. Ukana galoku MZ eti emaweni. Take it away.
Feel like the night is long, when I'm alone, why you gonna show me down the road?